Thing one tonight, if there's one thing we know about Donald Trump, it's that he is a big liar. The Washington Post tally of his false and misleading claims is approaching 11,000 since he became president. Hall of Fame numbers, really. Not that Trump reads the Washington Post, because if there's another thing we know, it's that Donald Trump is not much of a reader. We know he prefers his briefings in bullets or as little as possible. The New York Times reported that National Security Council members have been told to keep papers to a single page with lots of graphics and maps. And so when the president gave this interview yesterday, we had to wonder, is he a reader or a liar?
As you approach this job and a day in the presidency here in the White House, walk us through that day.
Well, I stay up late. I like to read a lot, which is, people don't understand that, but I do read a lot.
You can make the call of whether you believe that or not. There's one thing we know he's not reading about, and that is American history. And that's thing two in 60 seconds. As we've laid out here time and time again, Donald Trump has a very specific strategy when he flubs a word in the teleprompter, something we all do from time to time. He likes to pretend that he meant to do it.
They sacrifice every day for the furniture and future of their children. Authority and authoritarian powers through their lives, and though their lives were cut short. Our hope is a word and world of proud, independent nations. What standard? And really, if you think of it, when you talk about the great sailors and the great sailors of the world, we have them. But what stranded sailor doesn't feel relief?
That gets me every time. But yesterday, during a speech to mark the 400th anniversary of the first representative assembly in Jamestown, Virginia, we witnessed an entirely new phenomenon. It came as Trump clearly first learned about the Virginia lawmaker George Wythe. He was one of the first Virginians to sign the Declaration of Independence. And although his name is spelled W-Y-T-H-E, it is pronounced Wythe. In Trump's teleprompter, his speechwriters clearly had employed a tactic that we use here all the time. They spelled the name phonetically so that when the president started naming these legendary lawmakers and got to George Wythe, he'd pronounce it correctly. And on that point, mission accomplished.
Right here in Virginia, your predecessors came to Williamsburg from places you all know very well. They were names such as George Washington from Fairfax County, Thomas Jefferson from Albemarle County, James Madison from Orange County, James Monroe from Spotsylvania County, Patrick Henry from Louisa County, George Mason from Fairfax County, George Wythe, W-I-T-H. It's a great name.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.